Good morning, students of class 12th. Welcome to your online classes of English. Today, students, in Flamingo section, in your literature part, we will be doing lesson 3, Deep Water by William Douglas. Okay? Today we will be starting with the lesson, that is lesson number 3, Deep Water by William Douglas. Now, this lesson is about the author himself. Okay, that means the author himself is telling his autobiography. That means what experiences he has gone through. Little bit about William Douglas we'll talk about. Now see, in Deep Water by William Douglas, the lesson Deep Water is an excerpt taken from Of Men and Mountains. Okay. The lesson Deep Water is an excerpt taken from Of Men and Mountains by William Douglas. Now, this excerpt has been taken out from his own book only by William Douglas. He recounts a childhood experience and conquering of his fear of water. In this chapter, he is describing about what? He is describing about his childhood experience and conquering of his fear of water. That means he had a fear of water. That means he met with an accident. That means he lost his father also due to that, and he met with an accident in water. Due to that, he had a great fear of water. And how he conquered his fear, in this chapter we will be discussing about all that. It describes how he was nearly drowned in a swimming pool. In this essay, he talks about his fear of water. That means in this chapter, he talks about his fear of water. That means what fear he has gone through. And thereafter, how he finally overcame the fear and became a very good swimmer. That means afterwards he overcame his fear and he became a very good swimmer. That means in this chapter we are talking about the author himself. That means the author himself had a great fear of water, and how he overcame his fear. All these things we will be discussing in this chapter. This is the autobiography of an author. That means the author is narrating his own true story about himself. Now see, in the first paragraph, students, we will describe about what, we will be discussing about what, I will be explaining you about decided to learn to swim. The author decided to learn to swim. The author means the narrator who is narrating the story to us. Who is the author? William Douglas. Okay. The narrator decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at YMCA. Narrator decided to learn to swim where there was a swimming pool in YMCA. It offered him good opportunity. It offered him good opportunity, good chance to learn swimming in the YMCA swimming pool. Swimming in the Yakima river was quite dangerous. Swimming in a Yakima river was quite dangerous for him. His mother warned against it. That means his mother often warned against it. That means she did not want that she should lost her child just like a husband. She doesn't want that. That's why she is warning her child that he should not learn swimming. His mother warned against it, but the YMCA pool was safe for swimming. But for the author, the YMCA pool, swimming pool, which was very safe for swimming. It was 2 to 3 feet deep at the shallow end. That means the shallow end means what? That means the beginning point. At the beginning point, it was 2 to 3 feet deep. Shallow end means we are talking about the kinara. That means जहाँ से स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट होता है, इट मीन्स दैट जहाँ कम गहरा होता है, इट वॉज 2 to 3 feet deep at the shallow end. At the deep end, it was 9 feet. At the deep end, the YMCA swimming pool was 9 feet deep. Okay. Now see, the slope was gradual. The slope was gradual. That means 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet and 8 feet and 9 feet. That means it was gradual. Okay. William Douglas had developed an aversion to water from beginning. William Douglas had an aversion of water from beginning. That means he was afraid, he had a great fear of water from beginning, because he saw his father also in front of his eyes when he was a small child. 6 or 7 years old, he went along with his father to the sea, and he saw his father. That means he was drowned in the sea waves. In front of his eyes, he has seen all this. That's why he had a great aversion of water, the great fear of water from the beginning. Once he stood at the beach with his father, a wave swept over him and knocked him down. Once, as I told you, once he went with his father along the sea beach, that means he saw his father, the wave struck him, and his father was drowned and he died there. That's why he had a great fear of water, a great aversion of water. It means that, okay, a wave swept over him and knocked him down. He was buried in water. William Douglas' father was buried in water. He was frightened after that. He was frightened. He was a small child. He was frightened after that incident, what he has seen through his eyes. The YMCA pool revived those unpleasant memories and childish fears. That means when William Douglas came to YMCA pool to learn swimming, that means all those thoughts and all those memories kept, that means haunting around him. It kept haunting. That means he remembered all those incidents of the past and it kept haunting. Okay, and he had a great fear of water due to that, and he developed childish fears. Okay, now in the second paragraph, we'll talk about what? The misadventure at the YMCA pool. Now, what misadventure happened with the author in the YMCA swimming pool? We will be talking about that also. Okay, the author is narrating the story to us. Remember that who is the narrator? The author is the narrator himself. William Douglas is the narrator himself. Now see, the narrator was alone at the pool. During that time, the narrator was all alone at the YMCA pool. That means we are talking about the incident, what happened with the author, because he had childish fears and he was not going in the swimming pool. That means he had great guts to learn swimming. He came there. He came there in the YMCA swimming pool, but he was afraid because he was having his childish fears. He was thinking about that. He was thinking about the past. He was thinking about his father and all. That means he saw what happened with his father due to an accident. He lost his father in a sea beach. That means he was remembering all that. The narrator was all alone at the pool. He did not dare to go inside the water alone. That means he was not having guts to go inside the water all alone. He was feared because he was having childish fears. Okay. Then came a big bully. Then came a big bully. Bully means what? A heavy personality man. The man who is having a very good physique. That means a bodybuilder came over there. Okay. Came over there where the little boy was sitting, where the author was sitting. The author was a little boy near the swimming pool. He was a beautiful physical specimen. That means he was having a very good body. Okay, he was having a very good physique. Okay, he was having a very good body, that bully. We are talking about that. Okay, he was a physical specimen. He was having a very strong body. He cried high skinny like that. He cried towards the little chap who was sitting beside the pool. High skinny, he said to him. Okay, high body, it means that. Then he picked the narrator up and tossed into the deep end. What he did? He picked the narrator with his hands and he tossed him towards the swimming pool. That means to the deep end of the swimming pool where there was 8 feet and 9 feet deep. And the author did not knew swimming at all. Okay, because he thought that that person was having a very good physique. He thought that the author must be knowing swimming. Okay, that means he did not knew that. Okay, and he threw him there. And the author did not know swimming at all. And how he struggled and how he saved his life, we are talking about all that, what the author narrates. Okay, and tossed him up into the deep end. He went down at once to the bottom. When he was thrown towards the deep end, that means at once he went towards the bottom. Okay, that means if a person does not know swimming at all, that means when the body is thrown in the deep water, the body first at once goes, the body at once goes inside the water, goes inside the bottom of the water. He was frightened but not out of his wits. The author was naturally frightened, but he was not out of his wits. That means he had great guts. That means he had self-confidence to save his life. He decided to make a big jump from the bottom. What he did, what the author did, that means he strived. That means he struggled to save his life. That means he was trying to save his life. Okay, that means he made a big jump upwards. You must be watching in Discovery Channel also. Okay, the various type of shows they are showing. That means how they are fighting with the dangers and all. That means they are not losing hope. They are fighting till the end to save their life. All those type of programs you must have watched in Discovery Channel also. You must have watched We Shouldn't Be Alive. Okay, that means how they fight the storm. Particularly if we talk about the southern part, okay, that means in the Australian region, how the fishermen fight when they go and catch, when they go for catching fishes and all, how they fight the storms and how they save their lives. It is all about that. That means you must have watched the program We Shouldn't Be Alive. That means they're having guts, they're having self-confidence, and they are fighting with that till the end, till they win. Okay, you should have those guts. This lesson teaches that moral. You should never say die. That means you should always try. Okay? Try again until you win. Okay? He decided to make a big jump from the bottom. He would try to come to the surface, and he was trying to come to the surface. He would lie flat on the water. He would lie flat on the water. Finally, he would paddle to the edge of the pool. And finally, he would try to paddle to edge of the pool, to come towards the edge of the pool. That means he was trying hard to save his life. Now see in the next paragraph, we'll talk about he grew panicky. That means he grew panicky means what? That means the author thoda sa घबरा गया. It means that he grew panicky. It means that he was in great danger. Naturally, he was in panic. That means naturally वो थोड़े से घबराए हुए थे. Now see, those 9 feet were more like 90 for him. That means for the little chap, for the little author, those 9 feet was just like 90 feet deep for him. His lungs were ready to burst. His lungs were ready to burst. But when he hit the bottom, and when he came up like that, okay, he gathered all his strength. He gathered all his strength, just like as dolphin does. Okay, goes into the water and comes up, goes into the water and comes up. Okay, he made a great spring upwards. The author made a great spring upwards to save his life. Okay, he came up rather slowly. That means he came up very slowly, but he was trying. He opened his eyes but saw nothing but water. That means when he opened his eyes, he saw nothing but all water all around. That means he was in faintness. That means he was frightened and he had a great fear. Due to that, he fainted, and what he saw all around? Water all around him. He grew panicky. That means the author thoda sa घबरा गए. He was suffocating also. That means सांस लेने में उनको काफ़ी दिक्कत हो रही थी. That means he was suffocating. Okay. He tried to cry but no sound came out. That means he tried to cry but no sound came out from his throat at all. Okay. He tried to cry but no sound came out. He swallowed water and choked his legs. He swallowed water and choked his legs. Okay. Now see what happens next. He choked his legs and his legs were totally paralyzed. His legs were paralyzed and rigid. His legs were totally paralyzed and rigid. It was not moving at all now. Now see what happens next in the next paragraph. We'll talk about stuck underwater. William Douglas was totally stuck underwater now. A great force pulled him underwater. A great force pulled him under water, what we call the gravitational force. He was getting dizzy. He was getting little bit dizzy now. Dizziness means what? Sleepy now. He was tired. That means he was totally exhausted. Now he was totally tired. He was in the state of dizziness now. Dizziness means he was feeling sleepy now. That means he was in faint condition now. He went down endlessly. He went down endlessly. Then stark terror seized him. Then what happens next? Then the stark terror seized his mind now. Now everything was grasping his mind now. Now he thought about himself that he would not be alive now. He was fighting though, that he thought came to his mind, now he would not be alive. Okay, his arms would not move. Now his arms was not moving at all. He tried to call for help. He tried to call for help. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Okay, he sucked for air. He sucked for air but got only water. That means he was trying to come up for air, to take some air, just like dolphin does. When it comes up, it takes air. That means he was totally exhausted and he was totally tired. Due to that, that means he could not do anything now. Okay, now nothing happened. He sucked for air but got only water. Then all his efforts ceased. That means he was so tired, now he could not try any more now. He felt like sleeping. He felt like dizziness. He felt like sleeping now. He crossed to oblivion. Now he crossed to oblivion. Now he was in the state of faintness. When he woke up, he found himself lying on his stomach. When he woke up, what he found? He was lying on his stomach. Okay, he was lying on his stomach beside the pool. He was vomiting. Now what he does? He was vomiting. The chap who threw him in said that he was only fooling. That means that boy who threw William Douglas in 9 feet deep water, that means he said that he was only joking, he was only fooling. But the narrator had nearly died. But the narrator had nearly died because that man, that bully, did not know that narrator does not know swimming. He did not do purposely. That means he did it in a joking manner only. And he threw the narrator inside the water. And narrator had nearly died. That means narrator जो है मौत के करीब आ चुके थे. उनके लिए तो मजाक हो गया जिन्होंने थ्रो किया था, लेकिन नरेटर के लिए ये क्या मौत वाली बात हो गई थी. वो मौत के नज़दीक आ गए थे. ओके, नाउ सी इन द नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ we'll talk about fear constantly haunted him. Now that fear, anyhow he saved his life, anyhow he came near water in oblivion condition, in faintness condition, and he saved his life. Now from that incident, again the fear revolved around him. He had a great fear of water. Fear constantly haunted him. That means it was torturing him again and again every time. For days he was constantly haunted by that fear. For days he was constantly haunted by that fear. He never went back to the pool again. He never went back to that YMCA pool again. He feared water and avoided it whenever he could. Okay, he feared water and avoided it whenever he could. Whenever he went near water, the terror would seize him. Whenever he went near water, that terror would seize him again and again. His legs got paralyzed. When he used to think of that incident, his legs used to be paralyzed. Icy horror would grab his heart. That icy horror, terror would grab his heart totally. The fear stayed with him as the years rolled by. As the narrator grew up, that fear still remained with him and he could not overcome that fear at all. Now, how he overcame his fear, we will be talking about that in the next paragraph. How the narrator, how the author overcame his fear of water, we will be talking in the next paragraph. Now see, got an instructor and learned swimming. The narrator had an instructor, a teacher who was teaching him swimming now. Now see, we will talk about that. The narrator employed an instructor. The narrator employed an instructor. He went to a pool. He went to a swimming pool. He practiced 5 days a week. Narrator used to practice 5 days a week. The instructor put a belt around him. The instructor put a belt around him. A rope attached to the belt went through a pulley. A rope attached to the belt went through a pulley, you know. The ghirri, that means that it went through a pulley through the swimming pool so that the belt could be attached in his waist. Okay, pulley. On each trip across pool, a bit of panic seized him. That means when he went inside the pool, a bit of panic seized him. That means that fear of water used to seize the narrator, used to capture the narrator's mind. It was 3 months before the tension began to disappear. Now it was 3 months. Now slowly that fear of water began to disappear now. That fear of water what narrator had, that began to disappear now. Then he taught the narrator how to put his face under water and exhale. Then the instructor taught him how to put his face under water and how to come up for taking air, how to exhale, how to come up for taking air. It means that. And then he learned how to raise his nose and inhale. Then he learned while swimming how to raise his nose and inhale for the taking air, just like as dolphin does. He repeated the exercise 100 of times. Narrator repeated that exercise 100 of time and he became a very good swimmer after that. Now see, in the next paragraph, we'll talk about at last he conquered his fear. This question always comes in the board examination. How the narrator at last conquered his fear. Now see, we'll talk about that now. Now see, next the instructor taught him how to kick with his legs. Next the teacher, who was a swimming teacher, he taught him how to kick his legs under water. For weeks he did just that. For weeks, William Douglas, the narrator, just did that. At first, his legs refused to work. At first, his legs refused to work. But finally, he could command them. At last, the instructor made him a real swimmer. At last, the instructor made the narrator, William Douglas, a real swimmer. But he still feared to be alone in the pool. This went on until July. This went on until July. So he went to Lake Wentworth. Then afterwards, the author, the narrator, went to Lake Wentworth and dived off a dock at Triggs Island. And he dived at the dock at Triggs Island. He swam 2 miles across the lake to Stamp Act Island. So he swam 2 miles across the lake to Stamp Act Island. Whom we are talking about? William Douglas, the narrator. The fear fled and he swam on. That fear fled away, that means gone away, and he go on swimming on, go and he swam on and on after that. Finally, he had conquered his fear of water. In this way, the narrator had conquered his fear of water. So remember, this question always comes in the board exam. Okay. Now, in the last paragraph, we'll talk about the experience left a deep meaning. That means what experiences William Douglas has gone through that left a very deep impact upon him. नरेटर के ऊपर बहुत गहरी छाप छोड़ी थी. It means that it was a unique experience. It was a unique experience for the narrator. It left a deep imprint on his mind. That incident left a deep imprint on his mind. He could never forget it. That means if anything happens with any person, if he is in great danger, he has faced a great dangerous incident, that means it never goes away from his mind totally. That haunts him oftenly. It haunts him very oftenly. So it happened with the narrator also. Okay? That means that thought always used to come in his mind. He could never forget it. He had a deep meaning for him. It had a deep meaning for him. That means that incident had a deep meaning for him. He had experienced both the feeling. He had experienced both the feeling. That means the feeling of fear and feeling of winning, feeling of conquering. It means that the sensation of dying and the terror that fear can produce.